Hey guys. Right. This is Edward, King Edward and Wallis, okay? Wallis Simpson. There was a lot of information here. A lot of information came through. So bear with me. I had to write it all down. I looked at your questions, wrote everything down, and we will go through it now. And actually, this is really interesting because I pulled one card out of the pack. I got a new pack of tarot as well, and I just pulled one out, and it came out as the King of Pentacles, which means a guy, pretty much obviously regal-like, you know, very down to earth, very, I mean, the thing is about this one is it usually does mean somebody that's highly successful entrepreneur, very, very wealthy, because it's the Pentacles card, which means riches. So it's like the perfect card for him, literally, for this reading, because this information that came through. Interestingly, I felt her information, Wallis Simpson, I feel her energy comes through a lot more than him, and she had more to say. The energy and everything I was picking up, she had a lot more to say. So let's start. What was their relationship like? Now, instantly I got the words puppy dog, okay? So, and then I heard, oh my God, this sounds so bad though. Those big pleading eyes, however mischievous, could get tiresome. So it was getting to her in the long term. It was getting to her, okay? She felt she couldn't leave him, okay? And over time it became more of a burden to her. So she became his lover, his wife, and his mother. And that's what she wanted to get across, the mother part. And then she said it's like an impossible version of the maid mother crone. You know, have you heard that before, the maid mother crone? Okay. So she felt she couldn't leave him as he had left his whole country for her. And that was a heavy weight on her shoulders at times. Obviously, can you imagine? He had to be nannied almost, and she took place as a mother figure, and she came to resent that role at times and wanted him to man up, okay? That would have been impossible because, again, guys, just to let you know, she was definitely more of an alpha. She was more of a masculine energy. He was definitely more feminine. He was kind of camp, okay? Definitely more of a feminine energy, which means that does actually balance very, very well to have, you know, it's a really good balance between feminine and masculine, no matter if you're male or female, what roles you play. It's a good balance. But it meant that what she said, it meant he would never take the reins, so to speak, and be assertive. And at times she just longed for him to make the plans, to arrange the dinners. He was useless at plans, okay? He was useless at things like this. And because he had never had to plan anything before, he was waited on hand and foot his whole life. So she also became the hostess, and she loved hosting parties, but at times, I'm getting through now as well, he would come out with, I hear ludicrous ideas about an elephant in the garden. This is so random, guys. Let me know. He would come out with some crazy ideas that I'm hearing garden parties, like an elephant acrobat, a circus. I don't know if this ever happened. I'm going to Google this after I'm getting through now. Almost like he wanted to have a circus in the back garden. And each party had to be more spectacular than the last. And it was a lot of kind of masquerade balls and dressing up and guessing who's who. And a lot of the masquerade balls, I'm hearing were a bit saucy, okay? And they like the idea that you didn't know who was who, and also because of that you could play up and get away with more, I hear. Now, we'll go over about the sexual stuff as well slightly, okay? But I didn't really hear sexual as such. It was more saucy. It was more that carry-on kind of humour. You know, it wasn't really going into stuff sexually, but it was more saucy. He had a saucy sense of humour. I heard the word saucy since yesterday, so I'm just going to stick with that. That's what I keep getting through. Yeah, so it was a lot, okay? But the party she did host eased things for a few hours and were an escape for her. So it was definitely an escape for her when she did these things. And it's almost like she really enjoyed being the hostess. She did, but it was hard to keep up with his ideas at times and his input because he always got whatever he wanted before. She had to kind of try and rein him in as well at times. He'd be like, why don't we just do this? And it would be insane. And no joke, I'm just actually getting an entrance in a hot air balloon as well. Seriously. He had some madcap ideas, honestly. Mad Hatter, and Mad Hatter's tea party as well. But all of these are a little bit saucy. So I don't know how else to say it. They're all a little bit... Okay. Right. I would say they were soulmates though, okay? I would definitely say they were soulmates. There was a deep, deep love between them. It was a life-lasting connection, okay? It was more the difficulties were that she was such a free spirit, I've got here, she was not used to bowing down of society's expectations of her, was the line I got. She would not bow down to society's expectations of her. And once he left the crown just for her, she felt the fun had almost gone out of their connection, and she knew she was stuck with him. She was stuck with him for life. And as a free-spirited woman, that felt very intense at times. Okay, this is definitely her energy coming through. She in actual fact did not want him to give up his throne as well. No matter what anyone says, she did not want him to give up his throne, because she knew she'd be stuck with him. Again, I keep hearing stuck with him. She liked to have her affairs and dalliances, and this meant she would be under lock and key. So she'd be under lock and key, because that would be it for life. She would be tied down and burdened. And I don't feel she actually wanted to get married in the first place to her first husband. I know she divorced, and I think she may be divorced because she got caught out with some of her affairs. I think he was as bad as her as well. But it's almost like she wasn't the marrying type, I'm getting. She was not the marrying type. This was not for her. She didn't want to do it again. She didn't want to do it again. She was doing fine by herself, okay? She had the status and she had the funding to do what she wanted. She did not really need to get married again. But she says here, George was so obsessed with her, literally obsessed with her. It was him that was adamant that she would marry him. And he could not bear the thought of her being someone else's wife. And he would go into fits of jealousy about this as well, about the thought of her being with someone else, and was kind of questioning, who are you with, what are you doing, kind of thing. I also hear, I couldn't find anything on this, guys, because this really interests me. I'd love to know about this. She had her own interest, and when I hear interest, even when they were married, I do feel she had dalliances with other people. Not massively. He did, but not as much. I hear with him it's more somebody could be a head turner, somebody younger or more beautiful could turn his head and maybe something would happen. But the obsession with her was just, it was always there. It was always, wow, my queen, literally. I think he called her his queen as well, actually, a bit of a joke about that as well. But she wasn't quite the same. She didn't give herself body, mind and soul, as we say. She was definitely progressive sexually. And she felt they did not own each other. She didn't like the idea of being owned. So she said, yes, in their minds, they were married in minds for life. But when it came to bodies, they had their own free reign to explore if they wanted to. And I feel he didn't really... If it tickled him, I'm hearing if it tickled him, as in if the thought tickled him and he thought, okay, I'm interested, then maybe. But not really with him, to be honest. Now, this is the bit that interested me. Sorry, guys, the light's going on and off where I'm moving and reading this and coming back. Viscount. There was some link with her and a Viscount through their marriage, okay? I couldn't see anything, though, and I kept hearing the word Viscount, Viscount, Viscount. And when I heard her own interests, I mean sexually, so I do feel she had an affair with a Viscount. And I've just got to stick with it, guys, because I keep hearing the word again and again and again. Now, I know nothing about what happened after, you know what I mean? I don't know. I've seen The Crown. They didn't show in The Crown that they had any affairs or anything like that after. They were pretty much stuck with each other for life, kind of thing. But I do feel there was someone else. So it wasn't like she was... I heard traipsing around like somebody from a bordello, no joke, traipsing around. She wasn't traipsing around or anything, but there was one or two, and I hear one was a Viscount. Okay. Whew, a lot of information. Does Edward regrets? I always have problems saying R's, by the way. Does Edward regret his choice? Okay. No, as he would not have had it any other way, and he would not have given up his one true love. But yes, he felt sadness throughout his life and wished to be more involved at a later date with the royal family. So at first he was just living up and pleased to be away from them. But as the years rolled on, I'm hearing as the years rolled on, he wanted to go back and unite with them a bit more and be a bit more involved. Take back a bit of his old role, I hear. Now, I don't actually know how old he was when he left the royal family. So I'll have to look up that after as well. So I don't even know how old he was when he abdicated the throne. I should have looked into that, no idea. But I feel like he did want to, he had a few, I reckon about 3 years out living the high life, doing what he wanted to do before he wanted to go back in and really started to have an inclination of getting more. It would start off slowly, by the way. So he'd start looking into, at first he kind of blanked the royal family, anything in the media or anything like that. You know, he hightailed it, I hear, which I think hightailed it is like an old saying of like running off. But then over time he would start to take more interest in politics and get more angry and be like, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? And he'd get more involved in it and wanted to be involved with the process more. So it's more of a thing that happened over time. And I keep hearing the 3-year mark was when he started to think, well, not what have I done, but regrets coming in. Okay, now what else do we have here? Oh guys, there's some really interesting information. I don't know why it's scrolled all the way down. Let me have a look here. Okay, he did feel sadness throughout his life and wished to be more involved at a later day, which is what I just covered, but was shunned by the royal family and the media. Now, I do feel a royal family member, a female, invited him back in, but she was warned against it because of the controversy it would cause. But she had a heart and pitied him, and I heard the word uncle. Now, I know in The Crown it's all about Elizabeth wanted to, you know, get them all back together. Not getting them back together, but maybe help him, and she was talked out of it. But I'm actually getting Margaret here, which is interesting. So it's almost like... I feel Margaret had words with Elizabeth, so I don't know if anyone's seen The Crown, but I don't think it was Elizabeth. I actually think it was Margaret that had more input in this, because she was like the fun one. In a way, she kind of got him. She understood him. I mean, she's a bit of a party animal herself when she was younger, but in a way, I think she kind of pitied him in a way, and I think she was kind of a way in. So that's actually weird, because I thought it was Elizabeth, but I'm getting Margaret here. I'm getting Margaret, so I'm going to stick with that. Okay. Again, he also says, once you've been born into royalty, it is a distinctive upbringing unlike any other you can imagine. And it was hard not to resort back to missing the safety that upbringing gave him, no matter how stifling it could be. It had crossed his mind at times also that maybe he should have kept the crown and carried on a long-lasting affair with Wallis instead. But then he would throw away this thought for the fact that the distance between them would be unbearable, and he knew it would torment him. I heard the word torment. So in the end, he was satisfied that he made the right choice, and I hear he would always revert back to these thoughts when he felt down about it. So whenever he felt down about it, he would look back and think, well, there's no way I'd ever let her out. I just heard I would never let her out my sights. Wow. So this is intense. I did have something as well about Wallis. Let me just see if I've missed that bit by accident, guys. There was something about her. I don't know if I've already read this bit out, guys, so apologies if I've done this. But I did say that, I think I've already said, she in fact did not want him to give up the throne because she knew then she'd be stuck with him. But also she was actually okay for them to have an affair as well. So she was actually fine for them to have a long-lasting affair instead. But it was pretty much him that said no. Yeah, here we go, guys. If she could change one thing, that's the question somebody gave me. She said they would have a long-lasting affair, and that way the love and excitement would never have died. I also feel Wallis was bisexual, or at least well explored in that area with women, okay? So with Edward, he would think about it and think maybe we should have had a long-lasting affair instead, but then he realised how obsessively jealous and possessive he was, and then I heard not let her out of his sight, so that would never have happened. It wouldn't have happened. I just hear all or nothing, so it was all in. He was all in. Near the end now. God, I'm getting a bit of a migraine. It's very tiring doing this at times, the energy and stuff. Right. Oh, this is really interesting, guys. Ready? How does he feel about Harry's exit? Prince Harry's exit, okay? This is what came through. He can sympathise for him wanting to live his own life and not to take the demands of the palace. I hear the word palace, by the way, okay? Not the government, the palace. This is back then, maybe not so much now. The palace, he says. But he was worried that later on in life, Harry will regret it. This is really clear, this next line that came through. Once a royal, always a royal, okay? So even though people say Harry is no longer royal, which technically he isn't, you know, he isn't really a royal now, he's given up his title. The upbringing you have as a royal is, again, Edward keeps saying, is unique. And that will never leave you. That will never leave you. And that sense of duty you are always brought up with as well. So that will never leave you. And in time, feeling you let your country down is something he will have to fight with forever. Just because of how he was born, not because of who he is as a person. So who he is as a person, you have the right to choose what you want in life. You do have the right to say, I don't want this, you know, I'm not happy. You have the right, you have free will. Everyone has free will in this life. But because he was born as a royal, that sense of duty he was brought up with will always be with him. It's always going to be torture as such, but I feel this is going to be further down the line, because right now he's going to stick to his guns, because you would. What else is he going to do? You know, admit defeat and come running back? No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So yeah, even though Harry's getting a bashing and everything like that, and I actually feel for him, because I feel in the long term it's going to be one of those burdens he will have till he dies, literally. This is going to be on his shoulders forever now. So, you know, everyone's like, oh, he left, but this is his own karma in a way, that he's got to deal with this the rest of his life. His choice. So anyway, each to their own. I am off. Hope you enjoyed this reading. That's it, guys. Love you all. Bye.